Dear Christian friends, you are invited to this presentation on Jesus Christ, God or not God. This is part 4 of the series. I'm Dr. Prospero from the United Kingdom. Satan's strategy in the Age of Aquarius is to convince men to eliminate truth as being unworthy of consideration. The next step is the systematic annihilation of the brain's reasoning powers. H.L. Mencken, the anti-supernaturalist critic of Christianity, said, "Faith may be defined briefly as an illogical belief in the occurrence of the impossible. But true faith is the resting of the mind on the sufficiency of the evidence." And John 8:32 says, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." There are 3 approaches to determining truth. The first approach is the rationalist. Boundaries of the finite world are set. Infinite does not exist, according to the rationalist view, and based on 2 presuppositions. 1. Reason is the only reliable guide to truth. And 2. The supernatural does not exist. The second approach is the mystic approach that believes that the finite world is Maya or illusion, and ultimate reality is found only in the infinite realm. There is no boundary between the finite and infinite, and one will know absolute truth experientially. The third is a Christianity view that believes in the finite world as real, and the infinite has invaded the finite world and has taken on a finite form himself, and has revealed to us certain truth about the infinite, about God. Jesus, while on earth, validated the source of these revelations through significant body of objective evidence. The worldview and the truth primarily determined by these 3 approaches. Rationalist view determines truth primarily by reason and sensory observation of the material world. The mystic determines truth by intuition or psychic experience, and Christians' truth is determined by revelation as evaluated by the rational mind. A mystic objection. The mystic says you can't approach God rationally. The only way to approach him is spiritual. The response to this is in John chapter 4 verses 24. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. There are general suggestions here. Avoid overemphasis on your testimony. Our walk with Christ is to be by faith in him and his promises, with feelings coming as a result. As in Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, it talks about faith coming by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6, the just shall live by faith. Without faith it's impossible to please God. How to use apologetics. Love is important. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 2. If I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. Avoid contentious arguments when talking to mystics. Objective evidence for Christ's deity is found in Acts chapter 17, verses 1 to 4. Now, when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue of the Jews. And Paul went in, as was his custom. And on 3 Sabbath days he reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and proving that it was necessary for the Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead, and saying, This Jesus whom I proclaim to you is the Christ. And some of them were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, and many of the devout Greeks, and not a few of the leading women. The obstacle may not be intellectual, what they know or not, but a moral and volitional, one of their will. Romans chapter 1, verses 18 to 32. So the solution is to share in love the evidence pointing to Christ as the Lord of life. Romans 1:20 states, For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. Leave him or her without excuse. That is, leave him or her with a clear understanding that his rejection of Christ is not based on the insufficiency of the evidence, but in simply a matter of his self-will. Self-will is the heart of the sin problem. Thank you, dear friend, for listening, and we'll continue with the next session, which will be on diagnosing the disease. And I pray that you share this with other friends on your contact list. Be blessed.